Buy or sell coming up in about 10 minutes from now here on the lunch break. We welcome you back into the program. Chris Schubert here with you. Was reading a story in The Athletic today. Marvin Harrison Jr. met with the media yesterday, and he looked. Producer Evan, did you happen to see any of the images of Marvin Harrison Jr. at his media availability yesterday?
They were all over Twitter. I mean, how could you not see it?
I just was making sure that you saw the very muscular Marvin Harrison Jr.
That is one of my favorite things in sports.
Oh, best shape
is when somebody comes back.
Best shape of their life.
Slightly bigger.
Oh, best shape of their life.
Like a little bit more ripped up. Or like when, a big baseball player comes back a little thinner. And they're like, look at him. He's in the best shape of his life.
It is sports media. It's the free space on the sports media bingo card. I love spring training in baseball, training camp in football, when a guy shows up to camp. And it's always those guys. It's always those fringe guys that you're waiting to break out, or like they had a good couple of years, but then they hit a little bit of a rough patch, and everyone's still trying to hold on to that player still being good. I think the quintessential example of this for me is like Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees. Everybody so desperately wants that dude to be healthy for a full season, and every time he shows up to spring training, Giancarlo Stanton, best shape of his life.
You hear that about Mike Trout too.
Yes,
Mike Trout's moving as fast as he's ever moved. He looks so limber.
Looks like he's back in his mid-20s, and then everyone's like, Mike Trout MVP season incoming. And then we get 3 weeks into the season, and he gets banged up again, and then we're right back at the start. The best shape of your life Twitter, or the best shape of your life.
The best.
It is potentially one of my favorite things because it is like clockwork. Somebody's going to tweet it. I can tell you right now, when training camps start across the league, somebody's going to show up to camp, and there's going to be a media member somewhere that says, man, that guy looks like he's in the best shape of his career.
It's awesome. And I love that it was Marv because he's the prime candidate, right? Like, they took him 4th overall, kind of a disappointing rookie year. Now they're like, well, now he's in the best shape. You see how hard he's been working?
He said he's been having some more protein. That's what's helped contribute to the new muscular build for Marvin Harrison Jr. And look, all kidding aside about best shape of his life, he looked good. He looked like somebody who, if there's one takeaway that we want to have from just the way he looked yesterday in meeting with the media, he looks like somebody who attacked this offseason seriously. He looked like somebody who understood that he missed his own expectations from last year and put in the hard work. Do I know if that hard work is going to pay off? I don't. I got to wait till we play football games. But I am not going to question the work ethic of Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's the biggest thing about all of these points is, and I like to see it for a younger guy, but it shows that he cares.
Yes.
And it shows that he wants to be good for this team. And I think that all of those things are more important than how it's actually going to. Like, I don't know if him putting on 10 pounds of muscle is going to be a dramatic jump for him on the field.
It's not a automatic, now he's a 1,000-yard receiver, right?
But I just think that it means that he wants to be good, and he wants it.
Right.
And that I care about more than the muscle itself.
Process over results, right? If you have the right process, the results more often than not come. It's when you have bad process that you're never going to get the results that you're looking for. And so, at least from that perspective, we can say that was a good sign. Does it mean a whole lot? No, it doesn't guarantee a 1,000-yard season. It doesn't guarantee he's going to be a top 10 receiver. It doesn't guarantee any of that. But the first time meeting with him after the offseason, after I'll put in air quotes, disappointing 2024 rookie campaign, I think he's getting his sophomore season off on the right foot. Adding that protein and adding that muscle mass. Now,
it's just so awesome.
It was fun to see everybody on Twitter discuss that yesterday. Now, after meeting with the media, a bunch of stories were written. I saw one in The Athletic this morning that I was reading from Doug Holler talking about how the year 2 leap for Marvin Harrison Jr. may be the thing that the Cardinals are banking on in order to make the postseason. And I read the story, read all the good quotes from Marv, and talked about his struggles last year and the inconsistencies and not being on the same page with Kyler. And it was very stop-start. When it looked great, it was great. But then there were times where you didn't really notice Marv out there, right? They were just not in sync for all 17 games. And that leads to a question of how important is Marvin Harrison Jr. to what the Cardinals are trying to do this upcoming season. And Marv, to his credit yesterday, embraced those playoff aspirations, embraced the fact that he was brought here to help this team win. He was brought here to help this team make the playoffs and make noise. And he embraced yesterday those expectations. Again, another thing that you just love to hear from your year two playmaker. But I don't know if I'm willing to say that everything that the Cardinals want to do next season hinges on Marvin Harrison Jr. meeting whatever our expectations are for a year two wide receiver. I'm not ready to say if Marv is a 1,100, 1,200 yard receiver, reaches that 1,000-yard mark and scores all those touchdowns and he's consistent every single week, that's the thing that's going to take the Cardinals over the top. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but everybody knows what's going to take the Cardinals over the top. Those last 6 weeks of the regular season. Those close games, those tightly contested games that this team hopefully is playing in those final 6 weeks against good teams with the playoffs on the line, and how they thrive or don't thrive in those moments. Because I have a tough time saying that the playoff chances for the Cardinals hinge on anybody other than the guy under center. As he goes, this team is going to go. Now, if you wanted to make the case for the coach and the coach being able to coach well enough in those pressure-packed games, because let's face it, has Jonathan Gannon coached in a big game yet? The trademark big game that everybody likes to throw out there, right? Everyone likes to throw that superlative out there. Oh, this one's a big game. Has Jonathan Gannon coached in what we would all classify as a big game?
Not as a head coach.
So how does he handle a 3-point lead with 4 minutes to go when you have the ball? How does he handle how aggressive he is in a close game in the fourth quarter with going forward on fourth down? Does that pressure get to him and a decision that he would normally make, he goes against that? I don't know because I haven't seen it yet. So if we were creating a list, and we're not, but if we were, and we were putting on that list the players or people, coaches, front office people, we were putting members of the organization on the list of these people are most important to the Cardinals and their playoff success in 2025. I don't think Marv's in the top 4.
I think that's fair. And you're counting coaching. So I don't think that he's in a – he might crack the list at 4.
Kyler is number 1. Drew Petzing is number 2. Jonathan Gannon for me is number 3. So for the earliest we can entertain putting Marv on this list is number 4.
And the only argument that I would say is against Marv is you've made several additions on the defensive side of the ball. You would want Sweat to be on that list.
Sweat's the guy that I would pick.
And you would put him at 4. But other than that, this offense is going to be pretty heavily reliant on Trey McBride.
Mm-hmm. James Conner.
And they're going to have to play off of that with Marv.
Oh, Marv is important. But I don't know if Marvin Harrison Jr. has to put up video game type numbers for this team to make the playoffs.
I'll tell you, I don't disagree with you, but I will tell you this. If he doesn't have a 1,000-yard season, if you posted his numbers before the year and they said below 1,000, if I was a betting man, I would tell you that team doesn't make the playoffs.
Okay, let's pull on that thread for a second. Are you saying that because Marv had a bad season, or is the thing that you're extracting from that Kyler had a bad season?
I think the thing I would be extracting from that is the offense was inefficient and the quarterback didn't play well.
Right. So again, if Marv has a down year, now he can have a down year and it can be on him, right? He could have a bunch of drops. He could not separate well. I mean, there can be reasons when you look at the film as to why he has a down year. But more often than not, he may have a down year And it's because the quarterback doesn't play very well. Most times that conversation is going to be led back to the guy under center, or it's going to be led back to the guy calling plays before the blame gets put on the wide receiver.
I do like where you put Petzing on that list. I think he's...
Drew Petzing is under a lot of pressure to run a more fluid,
creative,
a more creative, a more balanced offense in 2025. I have zero doubt in my mind that Drew Petzing is able to call a great run game. No doubt in my mind that he's able to run the ball at an elite level. The numbers last year for the rushing attack of the Arizona Cardinals were off the charts. Top 10 everywhere running the football. You have to be able to pass in this league. You have to be able to go blow for blow with some of the best offenses. Because as much improved as we think this defense is, they're still going to be in those shootouts. They're still going to be in those back and forth affairs where it's going to be, you got to get to 30. You are not going to get to 30 controlling the tempo, running the ball on the ground, trying to just control time of possession. You're not going to get to 30 that way. You have to be able to air it out. So there is pressure on him.
And we talked about it with the Rams, right? They can run to keep the lead. They can play good defense, we think, with some of the new additions.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you make the 5 to 8 pass plays a game that you need to win?
Yeah, it is the lunch break formula to a playoff upset. If you want to go on the road and win in the playoffs, you got to have a good defense, you got to have a good running game, you got to have a coach that can at least tie the coaching battle, if not give you an advantage in that regard, and you have to have the quarterback that can make those 5 to 8 throws that you are watching the game at home and you go, wow. If you check all those boxes, you can upset somebody in the postseason. You can do it. But that's also a recipe for winning a big game in the regular season too. And I don't know if the Cardinals check enough of those boxes. And so if they fail, I don't know if it's going to be laid at the feet of Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Marv will drop a bunch of passes and be, I don't think he's this, but a diva wide receiver that causes problems and makes too much noise when the team is struggling and is more about he than he is the team. Again, I do not think that about Marv at all. I do not expect that to be the case. But maybe that scenario plays out, and then you can say, okay, yes, he played a role. But more often than not, all roads are going to lead back to the guy under center for the Arizona Cardinals or the guys coaching on the sideline.